afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. CT5. Today I thought I might touch on a song title that it's a little absurd. It's by a band by the name of Tourniquet and kind of Christian heavy metal. I heard this years upon years ago. The title is called Heads I Win, Tails You Lose. Now, for some of us, it's a situation where you're darned if you do and darned if you don't. But it's like, you have to try before you can learn a lesson, I guess. You have to, try something before you can, have some kind of idea of what may work. I guess when it's sort of a behind the scenes scenario, in that you have to create your own business in a way when quote unquote normal society can work, where and when they please. Some of us with disabilities, and I'm definitely one of them. We have to be creative in the way that we, just are able to survive, much less make a life for ourselves. And it can get very, very frustrating very quickly. And, it's almost like no matter, again, as the title suggests, it's almost like no matter how hard we try, we are, for lack of a better term, and I use this very loosely, destined to fail. Now, that's usually not the case. Trial and error is better than no trial at all. And so, and again, with this particular channel, what I'm trying to do is gain an educational perspective on many disabilities, as well as create a community where all of us can understand one another, at least to a certain degree. And there are some disabilities in which I have no clue about clinically or otherwise. And so that's why in every single video I do encourage you to comment and give your own experiences on these experiences that I'm sharing with you. And granted, with my disability, or disabilities plural, there are some things that I physically cannot do. And, my lack of vision prevents me from doing a lot of things. I'm not completely blind, but I'm not, I can't see standard size print anymore. And so, me getting involved in any aspect of the computer business or the technical business, it's almost non-existent in the respect of coding or something of that nature. And so, unless there are certain adaptive technology programs that will allow me to do so, there are three, to my understanding, in which I'm somewhat familiar with. JAWS, which is a screen reader that one's designed for, to my understanding, the completely blind, in which every command is done by keyboard. And you have to kind of mark, in essence, with, I guess, dots on certain keys on the keyboard to know where these things are. I'm somewhat familiar with it. Basically, the idea is once something is highlighted, it will read it to you. Zoom text is basically self-explanatory. That is a screen magnification program designed. These three are designed solely for a Windows system. And let's face it, a lot of the businesses, if not all of the businesses, do not use a Macintosh system. There are certain functionalities for each operating system on these computers. Macintosh in the later years was really designed for visual artists and musicians. These particular programs on that operating system were designed for that use. And Windows was really designed for business use. Microsoft 365, Microsoft Outlook, Adobe Acrobat Reader, and so on. But getting back to the title of Hence and Win, Choose You Lose, it's almost as if society has labeled many of us, quote unquote, thieves. And I would highly disagree with that, because you're not stealing from a society that wants you to, encourages you to lose, really. In that situation, many of us rely upon, physically we have issues that, this sort of reliance that we have to have, and you have to have that in order just to be able to survive. And so it's not thievery in that case, but the way that we are, that way that we have to survive, and the way that we have to create a method for survival is a tertiary way. Tertiary meaning third, I wouldn't say third party per se, but we can't go in a business and say, hey, I need a job. And many businesses would think of us as a liability rather than an asset. So again, we have to think creatively about how we can survive. And it's, that's why I'd say the title of that particular song is a complete oxymoron, because trial and failure is better than no trial at all. Once you gain a piece of data, regardless of how insignificant that is, once you gain a piece of information, that's more valuable than not trying at all. When you don't gain information, that's when you fail. Even if the information is unexpected, going back to the phrase from Adam Savage, executive producer and host of the show Mythbusters, he said, failure is always an option. Now, once again, if you watch that video, you'll kind of gain an understanding as to what he means by that. And basically what he's getting at is this: any experiment that yields data is a viable and successful experiment. Trial and failure is better than no trial at all. If you gain a piece of data, however significant that is, you gain information about how to do it a different way than you did before. And so that particular song title is, once again, an oxymoron. It is, I wouldn't have titled that song myself. That title is absolutely absurd. But, once again, this is CT5. Comments are more than welcome down below. If you would, please hit the like and subscribe button so this channel can be growing on the way. That would also be appreciated. As mentioned previously, you can reach me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at CrippledTales05. So, until next time, CT5 signing off. Thank you.